I'm back on the Social Academic Podcast. This is an interview that's part of our Best Personal Academic Websites Contest Award Winner series, where we're talking with the people behind the website. And I'm super excited for this session because this is a more writing focused website and it uses a website builder that I typically recommend and really appreciate how easy it is to use. So, Dr. Akshata Naik, can you please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about kind of what prompted you to create your website?
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you for having me on this podcast. I'm very happy to be here. I really appreciate all your work, and I have been watching your episodes and I've been keeping learned a lot from you on how to design websites in general. Like your blog posts are amazing. Uh, so yeah, and with that, I would like to introduce myself. I am Akshata Naik. I am a medical educator. I would like to say that I am an accidental medical educator, but now that's very much part of my professional identity. I'm really proud to call myself that. And if you are wondering what a medical educator is, because that's the question I mostly get, uh, so, very simply, I teach medical students at a medical school, and I have a PhD, not an MD. And yes, PhDs could teach medical students in the US and at other places, because where I come in and where most medical educators come in are at the preclinical curriculum, the foundational years that are the first 2 years of medical school. And I teach physiology, which is very much a part, a really significant discipline, subject discipline for medical students and even physicians beyond. So that's who I am. And yeah, I whatever I share on this podcast are my own opinions and thoughts. So yeah, thank you. Happy to be here, as I mentioned before.
I'm so excited because I feel like there's so many people that want a portfolio website. They want something that helps share the things that they care about, but they don't always get over that hump to actually making it. So tell me, take me back to like that period in which you were first kind of making your website. What prompted you to move forward?
So I always have wanted a landing page for my professional achievements. We do have a page from our university, but it's kind of locked in terms of design and what goes on up there. And I am a very creative person. I try to put in my creativity as much as possible in whatever I design. And that was the inspiration for me to start my own website. But initially, I didn't feel that I was qualified enough to do that because, like you don't have enough achievements under your belt, and that can prevent you from going out there and trying to introduce yourself to the world or expose yourself to the world. So it has been quite a bit of a journey. So I was working on my website at the back end, but never really propagated, like promoted it much until much later when I had a few achievements. So yeah, that's how it went. Yeah.
So it sounds like you made your website, but you just didn't share it as often. Is that correct?
Yeah. I think that's what I would say.
But it was published. It was like available if someone found it. Is that right?
Yes, it was very much available, but I was not active on LinkedIn, or
Mm.
I didn't know how to promote it.
Yeah.
I always felt like, no, I had to have a paper published for me to,
Hmm.
I never directly promote my website even now because I feel very embarrassed to do that unless I have some sort of poster presentation or some sort of small little achievement, and that's when I do it through
Mm.
the website. So if people land on my website is mostly due to some sort of news, and then maybe they would play around with the buttons and then land on my homepage or know more about me. That's how I do it.
I'm curious about like what are your hopes for people who are like visiting your website? Like who did you create your website for?
So I would say that it's mostly for newer PhD graduate students and also the fellow educator community. These two are my target audience. I mean, yeah, these two audiences are who I kept in mind while designing my website. And I have a few blog articles that are career advice type of things. And there are my research is educational research. So having moved from a bench work scientist into an educational research is a big step, and I wanted to share those things with my audience.
Oh, I love that. So I just met an amazing woman who helps these researchers all around the world with their writing. And one of the things that she said when we were chatting was that when she had her website designed for her, it was like a professional agency that designed it. And when she was talking with the agency, she really wanted text because writing was the business. Like she wanted text to be the main focus of the website. That was something that was really important to her. And I think that oftentimes like agencies, website designers, like they want to make things really visual, and visual can be helpful in some instances, but also text is so meaningful and important, and honestly it's how most researchers and academics are communicating about themselves. I love that your website is more text forward. It doesn't rely heavily on images or visuals or videos in a good way. And I think that this is something that sometimes holds people back from creating their website, is like, oh, I need all these extra things. But you've done such a beautiful job of sharing your story, blog posts, writing, like all sorts of things on the website. Why was writing and text something that was meaningful for you?
So yeah, I mean, I agree with regards to use of graphics and then videos. First of all, I'm not a graphic designer. Yes, I'm creative, but then it's very minimal. I use all the tools that are available and then try to create something, and then that's what I did for my website. And writing is important because that's a big part of my profession, right? I write a lot, like be it papers, be it reports, or be it meeting minutes and things like that, committee meetings and stuff like that. And also, I consider myself a writer because I have been contributing articles to college level magazines or even like Science Career magazine. I wrote an article, and then now more so than ever. And I was also a medical writer for a brief period of time. So I really feel like that's something that I have control over. And writing can be edited so easily, as opposed to you like a visual, maybe it it's popular at that time, but then a few years down the line you're like, no, I don't like this visual, and then I have to go back and edit, and it's more time consuming. And writing would speak to anyone. Yeah, I know a picture is worth more than 1,000 words, but I think writing can get across the same kind of message.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard that phrase a lot, like a picture, an image can speak 1,000 words. But my question when people say that is always like, is it the right 1,000 words that you're trying to communicate? Is it going to speak in the same 1,000 words to all of the people who are visiting your website, or just a select few who maybe know the jargon and know what the graphic looks like? So I really appreciate you sharing that. And it sounds like writing is part of your kind of academic output, but also your personality and how you like to communicate things. One of the questions that I have for you is about the blog, because a lot of people feel like they want to be writing and they want to have a blog space or a space for articles on their website. But the fear of not doing something regularly, of like not being able to commit to weekly or monthly or even quarterly things, like sometimes that can be like a stopping point for people, even though it's something they dream about. I really like that you created space for your blog. Tell me about that.
Yeah, and that's a great question because if you notice the publication date on my blogs, you would see that I'm not really that regular, although I would love to be. But things happen, and I have a full-time primary position that I'm committed to, and this is more of a pet project for me, and again a way to talk about my work to the outside world. So what I do is I have a set of ideas. I try to write as much as I can when when the work slows down a little bit. But in terms of commitment, yes, I used to fear that I would not be able to commit and everything would fail. But I don't adhere to that idea anymore. I just do it because I enjoy writing, and it's okay. I think it's okay if you are not regular with it, as long as you're consistent, or you keep, doing it for longer periods of time. Yeah, and if you don't find time, if put a stop to my blog, I mean, that's okay too. Yeah, I think it's how what I want to prioritize in my life at that point.
I really like that. I'm someone who's not consistent with my blog or my podcast. I switched to seasonal because I was like, I can't literally keep it up all the time. And I don't think that it makes sense to. Like, sometimes it's okay to rest. Sometimes it's okay to focus on other things. Sometimes I put more energy into Instagram than I'm putting into the blog. And that's because it's fun for me at that time. And I think that that's really nice.
No, absolutely. And I feel like we have these false deadlines for ourselves and
Yeah.
create that pressure. Like, like it's okay to be free. Like, as long as you enjoy doing it, do it at your own pace, unless it's, pays for your bills and for your other things, then yes, please, yeah, stick to the plan.
Okay, I want to ask about your website host. You use Owlstown, and that's a website builder from one of the co-hosts of the Best Personal Academic Websites contests, Dr. Ian Lee. Tell me about how you came to choose Owlstown. Did you explore other options?
I did explore other options. So, the popular ones, Wix, Squarespace. Uh, I actually don't remember how I stumbled upon Owlstown. It's either through LinkedIn, either through your website. I really don't remember. But the moment I saw Owlstown, I felt like it fit my needs, honestly, because I don't have a small business. I do not own any particular product. So I steered clear from the professional website, those really fancy website builders, if you will. And Owlstown is such a great platform because it is made for people with PhDs and, academicians, professors, and things like that. And they have really cool templates. Yes, the choices are limited, but, if you're creative enough, you could make it work for you. And for me, if you ask me what I want from my website, I just want something that would replicate my CV, but not in a wordy, technical way, but more like, people can click around and, a friendlier way to present my CV. And Owlstown provides me with that. So, yeah, that's how I got hooked. I really like that platform. And I have been on, my website has been on Owlstown for a long time now. And I don't intend to change that really.
Oh, that's really cool. Did you find like the initial setup took a long time?
Not at all. Like initially, yes, I had to, like any other tool, you have to get used to it. You have to click around, play around. But the founder is very accessible. So I used to, and then the newsletters were very helpful. I know Allstown comes up with regular newsletters, but Ian was very much accessible. So I used to write to the founder, and then I would get an instant response.
Oh, I love that. Okay, I really enjoy hearing that, and I didn't even know about the newsletter, so that's so cool, that that has been, like, a helpful resource for you as you were building your Allenstown website. Oh, cool. Okay, so if people are listening, there are many, many, many website options for you. Allenstown is really great if you're looking for something simple that you can set up quickly without having to learn how to design a website or do any code. They have a lot of built-in features, and one of the things that I really like about it is it's gotten more creative over time. One of the things that you said was that there are limited templates, like there's limited choices, and honestly that's a good thing. I design WordPress websites for people, and there's like a billion choices that you could make, and that's great for me. That gives me lots of flexibility and options. But if you're not already a website designer, which most academics are not, that might be overwhelming. It might be too many choices. And so having the guardrails on can actually be a really helpful constraint. And one of the things that I've seen in the contest entries for the Best Personal Academic Websites contest is how much more creative people are getting with those themes and templates in Owlstown. I was shocked by the websites last year to see how much they've changed, from like even the early years of Owlstown. People have really found ways to show their personality and show who they are and what they care about on the websites, even with those constraints. And that kind of brings me to my next question, which is about personality. You have this lovely kind of violet and purple. You use emojis in your writing. I'm curious about the ways that you have intentionally brought personality into your website, because honestly, a lot of academics feel like they need to tamper that side down or kind of like dim their personality. And I really like that you leaned into yours.
Yeah, yeah. So that was intentional. So even my slides, whenever I present them, they're very colorful, and I'm often told that very clearly. And I really wanted that to shine through my website as well. But at the same time, not be too colorful where it takes away your attention or focus from the contents of it. So I tried to maintain a balance, and that's how I designed it. And like I said, like I try to bring that creative side of mine into designing my web page. And yes, and everything you said about Owlstown is so true, because it was literally dragging and dropping things on it, or like directly typing on the platform. And it's very easy to sort of create or even link to different pages if to have that flow. And yes, and you don't need a host. You can directly build your website on Owlstown and launch it, as opposed to build it on WordPress and then find a host. Uh, yeah, so all those things I was able to avoid, and it you could be really creative, even though with the even with limited options. I have created some images, added blocks, colored blocks and rectangles, and then uh, some of them are clickable, because the ones that are clickable are Owlstown elements. But I added, like a blank space, and then superimposed my images on it. So to make it look kind of seamless. So even though it's a template that's from Owlstown, I did tweak it a lot to be what it is at this point.
That's very cool. I'm curious about the emoji use because I feel like a lot of people avoid emojis. And one of the things that you said, I just wanted to repeat it because I think people should hear it again. And that's that your presentations and how people are experiencing you in person include these aspects. They're colorful, they include emojis, and that comes through on your website. I think that if you are someone who has a personality where people can see how colorful you are, don't hide it on your website. Like you should appear as though people are connecting with you in person. How you want people to see and feel who you are in real life, that can shine through on your website. And I really like that you did that with yours.
Yeah, thank you. And I mean, like how people think about academicians in general, right? This brooding, dark people who don't like to mingle, who don't like to network other outside of their own social circle. So yeah, I mean, I just wanted to make sure that I'm a friendly person. Yes, I'm open to collaborations, but I'm also open to if you just want to have a quick chat, a grad student, I wanted to break those barriers, and if easier for people to reach out to me, even students in this case.
I love it. I'm curious if you have advice or maybe things that came up for you that were a struggle that people could learn from, for people who are just starting to create their personal academic website. And I ask because the contest is actually opening again in mid June. So hopefully, people who are watching this will be inspired to create their own space online, even if they don't already have one. So,
Mhm.
what advice do you have for people who are at the start of their website journey?
Yeah, I would say that, first and foremost, what is it that you want to achieve in the next 5 years, right? 3 to 5 years. And what is your professional identity? What is it about your job or your career that speaks most to you? In my case, I would say if you look at those pages on my website, I have one for my publications, one for my blog, but also one for speaking, because that part of my profile I really do want to expand. So I want to highlight those speaking opportunities in the past that I have come up with. and I have spoken at these many places. So that was my goal with the website. But again, just because you do not identify what it is doesn't mean that you should not create a website. You could still have your homepage, your about page, and publications. Just start with 3 pages, right? And then you can build it over time. Yeah, those would be, and it can change over time too. 5 years down the line, if I think, okay, maybe I want to add something else in addition to my speaking page, then I would do that.
Is there something that you dream about adding to your website in the future?
Maybe a podcast page.
I love that. Oh my gosh, what would your podcast be on? Similar topic to your blog?
Yes, yeah, definitely similar topic to the blog. And I do have some ideas for the blog, and I want to be more regular with it, create themes, and then put out some articles out there and have like a podcast series based on those articles.
Ah, this is so cool. I'm so happy that we had this discussion. I feel like there's so many things that we can learn from each other when it comes to creating websites, creating space online. I'm so appreciative that you shared your story with us. Before we wrap up, is there anything that you'd like to add? Is there anything that we should have talked about that we missed?
No, I think we pretty much covered everything. And thank you for being a wonderful host. You're very welcoming, and I had really good fun chatting with you.
Me too. All right. Thank you, everyone. Be sure to check out the other interviews in the Best Personal Academic Websites Contest series. If you're watching on YouTube, I will be linking to those around the screen. And I really appreciate you. Be sure to check out the free resources on the Social Academic blog to help you make your own website.